Well, just two quick things on that. One is that I would say every one of the PCC faculty members has been very deeply nourished by Eastern Asian spiritual, mystical traditions. Robert actually was the founder of the East-West kind of division within the American Academy of Religion, and wasn't that what it was?
We founded with the Society for Comparative Philosophy.
And did his early work and dissertation and so forth in that area. And I mean, it's true for all of us. And in this school, traditionally, the East was carried with greater appreciation and knowledge, and the center of gravity was somehow more strongly there in the East, except for psychology, which had this also an assimilation of some of the Western psychological tradition, but not all. And so in some ways we were part of a kind of, in the early 90s when we came in, part of a kind of compensatory retrieval of what had been repressed in the larger Gestalt. So that, you can see virtually everything. I mean, Stan Groff, who's played a big role in this, both subtle and explicit in this program, is of course really deeply influenced well by Eastern perspectives, and I'm just thinking the extent to which I think probably most of us, on the one hand, contextualize almost everything that we see and say within a sense of the kind of, there's a distinct Hindu, Buddhist, Taoist, and in the deepest sense, tantric matrix within which most of what I'm going to say today is embedded. But I also am trying to understand Descartes and Augustine on their own terms. And that holding that dialectic is kind of essential to what we're about. Okay, I think maybe just a couple more things about this place here. You know, we're in the middle of the Bay Area, San Francisco, this amazing ferment of cultural and countercultural and innovative people and streams and so forth. So that obviously deeply shapes what we're about as well. I'll just say one last thing. There's always I think at work, in the program, in the classes, an urge towards seeking a deeper coherence. A coherence of vision, a unity of vision in some sense, an integration, but, and this is the crucial but, not at the expense of a kind of a tyrannical privileging of one narrative over all the others. No one set of meanings is seen as being sovereign. I love the sentence from, of course I didn't bring it down with me unless somebody's got Passion of the Western Mind with them, but it's a sentence from Robert Belloc where he talks about where we are today requires a constant translating between different imaginative and scientific vocabularies so that we can move beyond the literal. There it is. And it just gives me the great man's words in his own text, in his own words, his idea in his own words. This is 1969, he said this. And these are the opening words of the epilogue of Passion of the Western Mind, which you may have read. We may be seeing the beginnings of the reintegration of our culture, a new possibility of the unity of consciousness. But, if so, it will not be on the basis of any new orthodoxy, either religious or scientific. Such a new integration will be based on the rejection of all univocal understandings of reality, of all identifications of one conception of reality with reality itself. It's great. It will recognize the multiplicity of the human spirit. I would add the multiplicity of the cosmos, the multivalence of it, the multidimensionality of it, the unplumbable, indeterminate mystery of it. Those are my bracketed words. And, back to Bella, and the necessity to translate constantly between different scientific and imaginative vocabularies. And in this beautiful final two sentences, it will recognize the human proclivity to fall comfortably into some single literal interpretation of the world, and therefore the necessity to be continuously open to rebirth in a new heaven and a new earth. It will recognize that in both scientific and religious culture, all we have finally are symbols, but that there is an enormous difference between the dead letter and the living word. Amazing.